Today, we're diving into the world of Brad Shepik, a guitarist, composer, and educator whose music seamlessly blends jazz with world influences. With a career spanning decades, he's played with legends like Paul Motian, Dave Douglas, Carla Bley, and Charlie Haden, appearing on over 70 recordings as a leader and sideman. Brad's constantly pushed the boundaries of jazz guitar. His album that came out in 2024 was Human Activity Dream of the Possible, a 10 movement meditation on climate change. And actually, this past Friday, his latest release, Hard Believer, was just released. And Brad, we are live. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be with you.
Yeah. So the
Thanks.
album just came out Friday. So this is kind of perfect timing. You had the CD release show, right?
Yeah, it was really good. We had a good crowd, and it was good night.
Where was the show?
New Blue.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's like the perfect venue for your style of playing and the music you do, I would say, right?
yeah. This was a great venue for us because this particular trio is playing, kind of with volume and electronic sounds, and so it's a good venue to be able to turn up. It's not a you don't have to be shy at New Blue.
You know, the musicians you played with in the past, the ones that I named were certainly adventurous. Like when you think about Charlie Haden and Paul Motian, I mean, obviously they had played together, but they were explorers. I like to think of musicians like that. And when you talk about the project from 2024, and then this last thing you just did with Trio, is that where your curiosity comes from, you think, part of it, just having those experiences with those people?
Those people I was really lucky to get to play with Paul Motian and Charlie Haden. And I think in a general sense, artists that are on that level are definitely inspiring me every day. And, you know, yeah, I'm excited to just try things all the time. I have new projects coming out later this year there's one on that's the Balkan Peppers, this Balkan band that I have. And there's another one that's kind of a Carnatic and jazz fusion record that we recorded a couple years ago with Dan Weiss and Swaminathan Selvaganesh, and with bass and saxophone as well, and Ethan Helm on saxophone. And so I'm really excited. And I have a new project that's with Ben Monder and Bob Lanzetti that we've been doing for about a year now. It's called Ambler, and we play at Bar Bayou a lot. So we have a gig next month, April 8th, at Bar Bayou, and I'm looking to record that too. So I would say that the thing that keeps me really excited and is in searching is this, just trying different combinations of things. I don't think I write or play all that differently in these different projects, but I think I'm kind of playing the same stuff, same song, composing the same song. It's just different parts of the same song,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we operate as artists where there's moments where we're really, I mean, let's just say like there's periods where we're super inspired, and then there's other periods where we're a little lagging in the inspiration. So is it kind of like, but I know what that state's like, when you're in that constant where it's like it's harder to go to sleep, you just want to keep on playing, that sort of thing. So do these different projects like sort of keep, what I'm talking about? Like they keep you in
Yeah,
that flow?
for sure. I don't know if it's a flow. I think yeah, I don't know how to experience it really, because I'm an educator. I'm performing. I'm not just I'm trying to book gigs. So there's all this. I guess it's a flow in that sense. But yeah,
Are you still at
um,
NYU?
I teach at NYU. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, when I get an idea, I'll try to grab it really quickly with the iPhone. I'll just put a voice memo, and I have tons of things like that. And I'm constantly surprised. I used to, make sure and be really diligent about writing them down, but now I've found that I don't really need to. Like a lot of the stuff on human activity, those came out of voice memos, that I, were, and I know a lot of composers have composed that way from just improvisation. It's, a lot of my favorite ones, Joe Zawinul famously, for
Yeah, I
one.
mean that's the
And
thing about composition. Everyone says, where does it come from? Where does it come from? Where's the inspiration?
mhm.
You just have to let go. Is part of it just like letting go and let the ideas flow out on the instrument, whatever you hear, and if you hear like
Yeah,
theme, is that part of it, you think?
I think it's definitely part of it. Also, I think the initial thing that got me interested in music was the idea that you're going to make stuff up, as opposed to like, I never heard a thing like, oh, that's BB King. I want to sound like him. Of course, I want to sound like BB King
Yeah.
every day. But that wasn't the thing that got me excited, about music. And that's one thing that I learned from playing with Joey Barron is that you really want to remember why you picked it up in the first place. So you're feeding that as often as you can, every day in some way, remembering why you picked it up,
Yeah. But that's the thing too, you're in New York, right? I mean,
Yes.
and there's no shortage of musicians. There's so much competition. Everyone wants to do the same thing. We're all artists in a sense. So it's almost like you have to push back against being discouraged. And like maybe it's that remembering why you first started is like keeps you in that, why you're able to just keep pushing and moving forward.
Mm. Yeah. Well, also, I think being, you know, thankful that you're even able to do it. I think a lot of my heroes, I see them expressing that sentiment. And, so if you're able to keep it going, and, keep continuing to create and get new relationships in music, and that's,
Are you
that's
open to,
it's huge. That's a
yeah,
huge part of it.
are you
That's what
open?
keeps me here.
Yeah, are you open to working with, pretty much if it's like let's say someone calls you like a bass player wants to play trio, like bass, drums, and guitar, and like, oh, the gigs in Brooklyn or something, it pays, a couple $100. Like, are you open to doing those type of gigs if you're not working still?
Oh, sure, I do them all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just want to know
yeah,
people can call you if they want to call you to play. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm here for, is
Yeah.
to get involved with that. And yeah.
And that's the thing too. NYU has, tremendously talented students. Or what type of information are they trying to get from you specifically? Is it more career advice? They're like, Brad, tell me how to be like, how do you play the way you do? Or like, I want to have your life. Is it stuff like that?
Oh no, they're on their own thing. I'm an old person, they got their own ideas about music, and they're motivated and they're excited and they're doing gigs, and yeah, I just try to, you know, give advice. Oh, maybe try this or maybe try that, or, but it's definitely, it's always an exchange, Teacher is the student is the teacher. Definitely true for me in my case. The more I stay involved with teaching, I like it. I love it. I love it.
How many students do you have currently privately?
Well, at NYU, I'd say about, with everything together, private students together, like 8 right now.
Oh,
Private students. Yeah, it's
that's a nice
manageable.
amount.
Yeah. Yeah, but I teach classes too, at NYU. I have a theory class right now this semester, and which I love. And I also listen to the recitals at NYU too, the junior and senior recitals. So, you know, that's
Oh, so
that
do
that
you have to give grades on the recitals or is it just
well,
more
yeah,
like,
we sort of, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I have a
It
friend at
is a
NYU.
school.
He got like a C on his senior recital. It's like,
Really?
come on, man,
Oh
he's
man.
about to leave the school, let him leave with
Mm,
dignity.
right.
So no, so you're navigating these different worlds, of teaching and all these different, new projects and stuff. But you also, you talked about you have to be thankful. But do you still have, are those periods where, because artists we can feel discouraged. Like, are they just less and less as you've gotten older, you think?
I don't know. I think everybody, deals with that, on some level, whether they're artists or whether they're, you know, it's just part of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
But
it's, yeah,
what were you saying? Sorry.
I think it's just part of the human condition to, you know, you need to, regenerate, you have lulls, and that's, we all have to deal with that.
Yeah. You know what I love too? But you really, you have this cause of this last album you made. You, there's
Mm.
a there's a motivation behind it. You're talking about climate change, right?
Hmm.
And everyone is saying people are frustrated with things, whether it's in their career or things about the the world or, there's so much that can drag us down. But like you took the perfect outlet. Like this is something that's out of my control. What can I do? You know, I can dedicate my art to this thing. And I
Hmm.
think that's I wish more people thought that way because everyone is frustrated with something, but they don't want to say, I'm going to take a project and just, this is what the cause is behind it, which if more people did that, I think it would be the art, art would be, would grow in that way.
Yeah, maybe it might. Definitely not doing any harm to anyone by talking about it. I think it's my second project, that's based around climate change. And yeah, I feel like I want to be involved on some level with my art and how I'm expressing things. And yeah, I've been trying to find ways to partner with activist organizations in my local area. I live in Brooklyn, so there's a lot of climate affected areas of Brooklyn, low-lying areas. And so, yeah, there's a few organizations that I've reached out to, and hopefully we'll be doing stuff in the
Did,
future.
did you grow up in New York?
I grew up in Seattle, so I spent a lot of time outdoors, fishing, hiking, and sports and music. That was my thing. And so I think maybe I saw a lot of how development would sort of take away from things that I knew as a kid,
Mhm.
environments that I would play in, and because that area really grew a lot in the late 80s and early into the 90s. There was a big boom there. A lot of people wanted to move to Seattle, you know.
There wasn't the grunge scene in Seattle
That
too.
was the grunge scene. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of music were you checking out on the West Coast when you were starting to get interested in music? As far as like
Uh,
live performances or anything you saw when you were first
I
learning that
mean,
really stuck with you?
yeah, everything that came through, yeah, Hermeto Pascual was one that was really, yeah, that was a big one. And just, all of my teachers at school, like Julian Priester, and especially was kind of influential in that period. Yeah, just yeah, everybody that came through. Yeah.
A lot of people they leave the West Coast and they go east and then they go back, but you're
And they
here.
go back to the West Coast.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Yeah, well, I think New York is really the place to be for if you want to be involved with music. And I moved to New York as a young 20 something person and was thinking, if I'm going to try to make a career in music, it would be in New York. At the very worst, all I'm going to end up with is like learning a lot more about music. And I kind of moved here like thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be really lucky if I get some kind of thing happening here. But at the very least, I'm going to learn a lot, you know.
How did you get those first gigs, with some of the people I had mentioned? Like I'm just kind of curious how you connected with Charlie Haden, rest his soul.
I think that was through Paul Motian, maybe recommended me,
Yeah.
or yeah, I think it might have been through Paul.
Yeah. So just word of
Yeah,
mouth basically.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
So
And Paul was I was recommended by Bill Frisell, who heard me in Seattle. He had heard me, I think. Yeah.
what was the first like big, like let's say, among some of the names I listed, which was the first one that kind of changed your life? Because when you get a phone call to play with these people aren't here anymore. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, so which one really changed like that forever
Well,
without that? Was it Paul?
I think it was Paul. Yeah, and he actually called on April Fool's Day, so I thought it was somebody playing a joke.
No way.
And yeah, yeah, no, but that was really I learned a lot, playing with the different guitar players in that group and playing with Paul and playing with Steve Swallow
Hmm.
and Jerome Harris, who I have a gig with Jerome tomorrow. So yeah, those are I'd say that's a really formative experience.
So what was
Also
the?
getting to play with Joey Barron, I think really
Oh yeah, yeah.
at that period kind of changed my thinking too.
So what was the first time like when you got in the room with Paul Motion to play?
Oh, I mean, I could, looking back, I can't remember really, but I know I was just really excited to play. And and learn.
Were you nervous?
I don't remember if I was very nervous, but I might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, it would make sense. I was like 23 or something.
Just plain excitement though.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And the thing that was really different as I experienced playing with him was that he wouldn't play fills, he would play time. And there was so much subtlety in everything was contained in the sound of a cymbal and quarter notes, and that was a revelation.
What
Yeah.
were some of the best places you played? Like, what were at least the most memorable ones that to you stuck out that just felt like milestones?
Oh, I mean, touring with different bands in Europe around and yeah, the different festivals and the big ones and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
festivals are a whole other thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's got to get in there and get out.
Is that how? I mean,
Yeah.
I've only played maybe like two jazz festivals. You've definitely done way more than I have. But is that the general in and out?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty quick. Yeah.
I mean, is that
On to the
good
next.
or is that good or not? Like
Yeah, it's good. I think I like going to North Sea Festival and hearing different bands and that I wouldn't necessarily get to hear.
but it's not like all the musicians are all hanging out in one big room, at the end and just all having cocktails together.
I think, yeah, they hang around. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's like the sessions and stuff after a lot of those big ones. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
What's the most recent one you had played?
Played some last year with David Krakauer in France. Yeah. So, my performing career has been a little curtailed and by teaching and stuff, but got some records coming out, so hopefully get out there.
Well, you have to teach because you have to have that. I mean, as rewarding as it is, but it's sort of that like, put that peg in the ground financially too. I mean, we have to think about
Well,
these things.
raising up I'm raising up a couple kids,
You
and
have a couple kids? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So no, you have to. So is it at NYU and are there other students outside of there?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes, yeah.
Like people who just reach out to you like via, social media and stuff who said I love.
Social media, yeah. Social media or my website, I guess.
Yeah. So
More through
do you have
that.
students from all over the world?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So a lot of
Yeah,
a
because
lot.
a lot of folks come here, to learn. So yeah, definitely.
I
Yeah.
mean, have any of your students like, like who do you don't have to name names specifically, but is there anyone you're teaching now who you really see is going to be can be the like has something really special about them? I know they probably all have something special,
They
but
all do. Yeah,
right.
honestly, they really all do. Yeah. Yeah.
What
They
about
all do.
but is it just guitarists or is it other instrumentalists as well?
There's other instrumentalists too. Yeah. Yeah.
What types of instruments?
There's a bass player this semester.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you remember giving my friend lessons, Jeff Fowler at NYU. This is
Oh
going
yeah,
back like
sure. I remember Jeff. Yeah, yeah.
15 years ago.
Hey, Jeff. Oh, more.
Well, that's around the time I was there too, but he used to always
Yeah.
rave about you and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
and that's
Yeah. I hope he's doing good, man.
I don't know
Yeah.
where he is to be honest. I haven't
Yeah.
spoken to him in about 10 years. I got to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so let's before we wrap things up, let's I know you've got the other exciting things coming out this year. Where can everybody find your social media website if you just want to share that for the
Yeah.
listeners?
Yeah, sure. BradShepikMusic.com and at Brad Shepik on Instagram.
Hmm.
So yeah, drop a note, say hi.
You're ready to work with the new people if they come when they got the money and you're ready to work and excited, right? Still.
Of course,
Yeah. No,
we're
thanks
doing
so much,
music.
Brad.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for your time and yeah, be
Well, thanks
well.
for
Thank
showing
you.
an interest.
Of course, yeah.